All right, what's going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick Strength and Power. So we have the results now from the 2020 Chicago Pro. The night show just wrapped up. So the results are as follows. Your top five, well, we got your top six. So in sixth place, you had On Nguyen. In fifth place, you had Eddie Bracamontes. In fourth place, you had Nick Walker. So Nick actually moved up quite a bit to where they had him in prejudging. We'll talk about that in a minute. Max Charles wound up in third. And the top two was Akim and Justin, and they worked these guys so hard. Akim ended up winning. Justin ended up taking second. They had these guys pose for like half an hour. They did several top two call-outs with just Akim and Justin. So the judges were definitely having a hard time picking between the two. Personally, if you look at the comparison, I had Justin winning. I think if you look at the comparisons, Justin was a tad bit sharper, especially in the back shots. I think Justin's back had a lot more detail to it. And from a conditioning standpoint, when Justin turned around, his lower body, his hamstrings, his glutes, I think he looked a little bit tighter than Akim. But they compared them really hard, so the judges were really – it was like a coin toss decision. It must have been extraordinarily close. And I can't wait to see the scorecards. I'm sure it's going to be – I mean, it's got to be a one-point decision. As hard as they were comparing the two, it's got to be close. Now, let's talk about Big Ramy first. We'll talk about that later because these point standings, the results of this show were bad for Ramy, but we'll talk about that in a second. So Nick Walker, everybody was talking about going into this show. He's the young rookie. This was his pro debut. He had a lot of hype going into this show, and at prejudging, he was in the first call-out, but then they moved him to the second call-out, and then they brought out a third group, and they put Nick in that third group as well. And it kind of looked like they were pushing him back to 5th, 6th, 7th. At one point, I thought they might be comparing him for 8th place. But tonight, it seemed like the judges saw something different with Nick. They kept giving him better and better call-outs, putting him next to guys. I mean, they put him next to Justin quite a few times, and it almost looked like towards the end of the finals, they were actually comparing Nick for top 3. So I'm thinking maybe at prejudging, he got overlooked in the sense that he didn't get those good calls where they put Nick next to those top 3 guys enough. Once they started putting him next to Max at the night show, at the finals that just ended, I think they were starting to see how good he was. And they started putting him up next against Justin, up next against Akim more. And they gave him these better callouts, and they started to see how good he looked even against these guys. And I think giving him those callouts, it really let his physique shine. And you got to see how good of conditioning his conditioning really was, how big he really is for a rookie when you see him posing next to these other guys. I mean, I think he did a tremendous job here, and he moved up to 4th place. I think that's nothing to be ashamed of, 4th place at your pro debut. We're not going to be seeing him at the Olympia, but I do think this was a very impressive showing from Nick. I saw a lot of comments hating on him, a lot of comments saying he was off, a lot of comments saying they don't like his physique. I don't think Nick was off here. I think Nick came in on. I think he came in better than the North Americans. I think he looked good. I would have had an argument for Nick in the top 3 based on how they were comparing these guys at the night show. I would have liked to see him top 3 here. And I think, honestly, he could have beat Max based on his lower body. I think Max might have been a little bit sharper than Nick throughout the upper body, but Max had kind of his back wasn't as sharp. His back typically isn't as sharp. So those were the results of the 2020 Chicago Pro. So you've got Akim Williams going to the Olympia, and of course in 2nd place Justin, in 3rd place Max, in 4th place Nick, in 5th place Eddie Bracamontes, in 6th place On Nguyen. Now let's talk about Big Ramy. So Big Ramy just posted a physique update. He posted several back shots. I was on Instagram Live when I was watching the results of this competition. And I saw that Ramy was actually watching. He was on my Instagram Live commenting to fans and saying that he wishes everybody luck. So Ramy was on there. So Ramy knew the importance of this show because there was a chance that Ramy could get to the Olympia on points if he did well, or depending on the placings of these shows. So going into the Chicago Pro, Ramy was tied for 3rd with On Nguyen. They had 9 points each. In the lead now was Regan Grimes. In 2nd was Max Charles. That was before this weekend. So after this weekend, here's what the point standings are. So the point standings will come out, I'm sure, either tomorrow or Monday officially. So Justin Rodriguez, he had 8 points prior to this. So I believe with his second place placing, he earned 8 points for the Chicago Pro, giving him 16 points, which would put him, it's going to put him in second because Max Charles was already second in the point standings, and Max was third. So Max earned 7 points for that third place placing, and that would put Max in first with 18 points. So Justin will be in second with 16 points. And then Regan will still be in third with 12. And Ramy and On are still relegated down to that tie for fourth. And On, because he was sixth, there are no points awarded to sixth place. So he stays where he's at. So this means Ramy is out of the Olympia on points. Now, Ramy did post these physique updates, these back shots where he's showing he's still in shape. He says in the caption that he's back on track, obviously after that positive diagnosis that he received for the virus. So it's good to see that he's looking healthy. He's looking like he's in shape. He's got 9 weeks to go till the Olympia. And honestly, guys, I would be extremely surprised if Big Ramy did not get a special invitation to the Olympia. Keep in mind, last year, Cedric McMillan got a special invitation to the Olympia because he was not able to qualify because he had military obligations that prevented him from competing. Now, Big Ramy testing positive for the virus is something that Big Ramy cannot control. His inability to qualify was absolutely not his fault. He intended on competing. So I want to ask you guys, if you want to see Big Ramy get a special invitation to the Olympia, thumbs up this video right now. Comment in the comment section below. I know for a fact that the new ownership of the Olympia, they care what the fans think. They look at what the fans are saying, what the fans are doing, and if they see that you guys want Ramy to compete, I could almost, I predict they're going to, I don't want to guarantee anything, but I predict they would give him a special invitation. I mean, like I said, last year they gave it to Cedric for his military service, which is understandable, but Cedric's highest placing at the Olympia was like 7th. Big Ramy has been a runner-up at the Olympia. He's competed this year in 2020, top 3 at the Arnold Classic. I think that Ramy deserves it, and if you guys think so too, thumbs up this video. Let me know in the comment section below if you think Ramy deserves a special invite to the Olympia. Now, next up in the news, I want to talk about Ramy Buendia a little bit more. You guys might have seen my video earlier today, Ramy Buendia versus Andre Ferguson. They had a little back and forth. It was interesting. I actually talked to Ramy earlier today, and he gave me a little bit more clarity and perspective on what was really going on. And I'm going to share with you guys in a minute. Ramy put all the same stuff on his story as well. But Ramy basically told me, he said, look, this situation between me and Andre, it started out kind of friendly, just a competitive rivalry because obviously they both compete in men's physique. They're both at the top of the sport. And it started out like that, a sportsman rivalry. And then Ramy says that Andre was the one that took it to the next level and started making it personal in attacking Ramy's fiance. And that's what Ramy says in these stories that I'm going to show you in a minute. So Ramy says it was kind of that competitive rivalry, a sportsman rivalry. Andre made it personal. And yes, Ramy flipped out. He took accountability for flipping out. He says he was drunk. He says he wasn't on drugs or anything. But he says, yeah, he was mad. He was drunk, and he said what he said. And he said, look, this guy's talking about my pregnant fiance. It pissed me off. So this was the result. And he did take accountability. He deleted all the stuff that he had posted. But in the stories that he posted today, he took accountability. And Ramy does make a good point. He's always kind of been the villain. So when he has a rivalry, people are very quick to side with anybody besides Ramy Buendia because he doesn't have a good image. He doesn't have a lot of positive circumstances surrounding his image. So when something like this happens, people automatically assume, oh, Ramy's just crazy. Ramy's going off the deep end. But Ramy does make a good point. If Andre is the one that took this to the personal level, was Ramy's response appropriate? Now, I do think, a certain level of anger is appropriate, but I still think that the unprofessionalism here on both sides, if Andre made it personal and was saying things publicly on his Instagram Live about Ramy's fiance or whatever, I think that's unprofessional, and I think that shouldn't be done. Do I think Ramy Buendia should be making drunken rants about fighting somebody with 3.5 million followers? No, I do not. I think both of those things are unprofessional, but I do think there's some context that needed to be added if Andre Ferguson was in fact the one that took it to this level with Jeremy. So I'm going to go ahead and roll those clips from Jeremy right here. If you guys have not seen my video on the subject, go look at my channel. It's the previous video. And let me know what you guys think about that. So here are the clips of Jeremy Buendia.
All right, so for those of you that don't really know the details of what happened, Andre Ferguson disrespected my fiance, my family, by speaking about her on his live Instagram. And not only that, 2 weeks ago, he made some statements as well about me on his page. And he continued to do so. So I addressed him yesterday, okay? He didn't like what I had to say. We went back and forth. I got angry. I drink a lot. Don't do drugs, you guys. Wasn't on drugs. Definitely was drinking. Very angry. Was very angry. I'm still very angry. Nobody disrespects my family. Nobody disrespects my fiance. Nobody disrespects my unborn daughter. Ever. It's unacceptable. If any one of you that are okay with that, you guys gotta look at yourself in the mirror because you ain't a man. I reacted out of anger because of the disrespect that was brought upon my fiance. And if you guys got a problem with that, then I'm okay with that. So I'm getting DMs, you know, I haven't watched any Andre stories. I don't even follow that fool, but I get screenshots recorded to me and whatever. So he's playing that on this, you know, I'm crazy. Yeah, I was crazy last night. Very crazy. I have a temper. Everybody knows that. But you guys, I text message him, which he very rarely, he did, up until today, he finally fucking texts me back, you know, and it's again, just him trying to twist everything on me. Realize that, you guys, is these people are going to try and twist everything on me to make me look like. What it comes down to is this was a competitive rivalry at first. A competitive rivalry, talking a little shit between us about stage talk. And Andre had to cross the line and start talking about my fiance. So you guys can take whatever. What you guys don't know is the past 2 weeks, Andre's been poking the bear. Started 2 weeks ago, talking shit on his stories, personal shit. I held my tongue. I didn't say anything on social media. You guys know that. I handle like a man. I call him, which he doesn't answer any of his fucking phone calls. Side you want. But if you guys are taking the other side, then I don't want you on my side.
So that is going to wrap it up for the video today, guys. I hope you did, in fact, enjoy it. Please give it a thumbs up if you did enjoy it. Please subscribe to this channel if you have not subscribed yet already. As always, I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. Nick Strength and Power, signing out. We're almost 1 million strong.